Would you allow a developer you've never met to install software in your brain that gives total access to all of your thoughts, your memories, and everything that makes you, you, the same way you install an update on your iPhone? The knee-jerk reaction is probably no. That's creepy. It's weird enough that my phone knows everything about me. The last thing I want is a company to see my literal thoughts and fears. But what if I made you a few promises? Like this chip can remember your dreams and memories and then play them back as if you were reliving them for the first time, fully viscerally. It'll hijack your senses and you'll feel everything you felt as if you were right back there for the very first time. It can give you super sight that allows you to see night vision or infrared rays. It can teach you the language overnight before you get on that plane to Japan. It could cure you of injuries, curing paralysis and blindness. It can remove your depression, fix hearing loss, remove that annoying tinnitus you have. It can stop your loved ones from suffering from Alzheimer's, dementia, and strokes. Oh, and you'll be able to communicate with others totally telepathically. Suddenly, this sounds a little more compelling, doesn't it? And if you're thinking this is just like an episode of Black Mirror, you're right, but this technology is real, and just this week, 2 more patients answered yes to that question. They received the chip that will eventually do all of these amazing things, but for now, in these patients, it's doing just one job, and that's fixing people's paralysis. The company is called Neuralink, and their first product is called Telepathy, and just last week they embedded the telepathy chip into patients number 8 and number 9. These are some of the first people in the world to benefit from this technology, and the results are pretty remarkable. We'll get into that, but first let's peel back the skull, figuratively, and see exactly how this thing works and why it matters. So there's 2 reasons Neuralink is important, and they actually couldn't be more different. The first is human liberation. If your spinal cord quits on you or you become paralyzed, telepathy can give you digital hands, and this isn't sci-fi. Patient number 1 is this guy named Nolan, who's already trash-talking friends in the popular video game called Civilization 6 just by thinking about it. And just recently, the Neuralink team gave this super cool demo of their patients actually playing Call of Duty together, using just their thoughts, walking around the 3D world, pointing their gun, then actually shooting enemies. And as a fellow Call of Duty player, seeing someone telepathically walking around Nuketown, it's pretty freaking cool. They also continue the demo with an example of how a person can telepathically connect to an Optimus humanoid robot. Picture you're disabled but want to interact with the physical world? Well, with the chip, you can telepathically embody a humanoid robot and walk and talk and one day even feel the sensory inputs that the robot also feels. They gave an early demo of this playing rock, paper, scissors, and the Optimus hand flipping off the audience, which, nice touch. The second reason Neuralink is important is for civilizational survival. Elon's gamble is that when AI superintelligence levels up to God mode, we'll need a bandwidth upgrade to stay co-pilots and not turn into passengers. So if artificial general intelligence keeps compounding, human decision-making bandwidth becomes the bottleneck that turns us from stewards of the future into mere spectators. Elon frames the link as a defensive and democratizing upgrade, a direct cortical interface that scales our input-output rate. So to explain that simply, think of your body as a computer for a second. Over the course of the day, how many operations per second on average can you do? It's pretty low. You can say a couple of words, type a few things into your phone, walk a step or 2, and that's really it. We're pretty low bandwidth. Like, think about it. You're using your 2 thumbs on a slab of glass that you call a smartphone to communicate incredibly complex thoughts with this device. There's a ton of compression of your big ideas reduced down to just a few keystrokes. And the same is true about communication. As I'm talking to you, I'm having this whole rich idea of how I want to describe this technology. That idea then has to be compressed into words, then spoken to you, the listener. I make my vocal cords vibrate, those vibrations resonate against your eardrums, where you interpret the words I'm saying and build your own model of what you believe my message means. Like right now, I'm imagining this world in which I'm telepathically connecting to an Optimus robot on Mars and walking around the planet as if it was my real body. The visual I have is almost certainly drastically different than yours, but if we had a Neuralink, well, you could just see it exactly how I see it. So, to tie back to the civilizational survival thing, we're looking to go from sluggish thumps per second to megabits and then hopefully gigabits per second of neural data, letting us collaborate with superintelligent systems instead of being outmaneuvered by them. In this view, the implant is less a medical device and more a civil engineering project for the species, us. It's a neural on-ramp that allows every individual brain to tap into the real-time computational power that a frontier model AI enjoys. By hardwiring humans into the loop, the argument is we keep moral judgment, creativity, and lived experience inside the feedback cycle that guides the machines, preventing a narrow elite, or the AI themselves, from monopolizing the layers of economics, politics, or even kinetic forces like our military. So, in short, boost the bandwidth, merge the perspectives, and humanity maintains a seat at the negotiation table instead of being placed on top of it. And yeah, this is effectively the point at which we merge ourselves with the singularity, defined as a hypothetical point in time at which technology growth becomes completely alien to humans, uncontrollable and irreversible, resulting in unforeseen consequences for the human civilization. Well, good news is Neuralink is trying to avoid just that. And in doing so, opens up the door to an ideal called transhumanism, which is a philosophical, intellectual movement that kind of advocates for using technology to enhance human capabilities and improve the human condition as a whole. Remember earlier when I said Neuralink could cure blindness? It can do a lot more than that. Think of your eyeballs as a camera, and then think of all the amazing things that cameras are capable of doing today. It gets pretty wild. Blindsight could deliver high-resolution vision that's equal to or better than perfect 20/20 eyesight, but with even more fun features on top. Imagine built-in telephoto capability to zoom in and see things further out, or a macro ability just like your iPhone to see microscopic objects without any external tools. But it gets even cooler. It can let you perceive beyond normal human limits, like infrared for detecting heat in the dark, spotting warm objects in the night, or ultraviolet for hidden patterns, even radar to see through fog and walls. And imagine augmented overlays too, with real-time info like navigation directions projected right into your view. No need for glasses, just your eyeballs. And for those born blind, your brain would just adapt to these new signals, creating vision from scratch. Now that's for the advanced versions in the future, but for the initial versions, well, it still works. It won't be like your natural crystal clear eyesight at first. It'll be basic and low resolution, kind of like pixelated graphics from an old video game on Atari or early Nintendo. You'll perceive the world in blocky images, maybe grayscale or with simple colors, spotting large objects, basic outlines, movement. Think navigating a room, dodging obstacles, or noticing a door or a person nearby, but not being able to make out the specific details just yet. But it gets really good, really fast, and they've laid out a pretty cool timeline for when we can expect these things to work. So as of this month, which is July 2025, Neuralink has 9 human implants, patient 1 through patient 9, with patient 8 and 9 done in 1 day, which is a first. Bandwidth is about 9.5 bits per second, with the team aiming for 40 by end of year, so about a 5x, at which they will plan to have the chip implanted in 30 patients, as well as roll out their blindsight and the robot arm controller project they call Convoy. From 2027 to 2029, they plan to increase the throughput of the chip to 25,000 channels, which basically means a full HD neural feed to the chip. Also during this window, they want to release a Paralink with spinal cord stim to reanimate your limbs. You can think of it like a digital bridge on steroids in the case that you've actually damaged your spinal cord. Then by 2030, things start to get pretty weird. We get elective cognitive coprocessor for memory search and language translation, which means real-time translate and searching through your past memories, whether you are excited to do that or not. This comes with always-on cloud AI, creating a true symbiosis for the first time between human and AI. You are always connected all the time, as well as creating a chip mesh network. This is also when we can expect to see what Neuralink is calling the telepathy party mode. So humanity now has a USB-C port poking through the blood-brain barrier. Today, it's letting 9 paralyzed pioneers swipe, click, and maybe soon see again. Tomorrow, it can beam Grok 10 straight into our visual stream. So ask yourself, when the install wizard pops up and you have to click the terms of service, with the risk-adjusted return on investment of civilizational survival, do you click accept? Because whether we're ready or not, the age of downloadable upgrades for wetware has officially booted. Our next grand task isn't actually inventing the tech, it's just deciding, together, what it means to stay human while we use it. Thank you so much for watching.